again, and welcome to the Author Roundup. This special segment of the Book Connection Show showcases emerging indie authors who join us for a discussion of their newly published books. Join us for a conversation with our next guest author. Hey there, welcome to Author Roundup. My name is Emma. I will be your host for today's episode. And today I have author Moses Setilo here with me today. He is the author of The Business That Is Not Business, Marriage. Moses is a lifelong entrepreneur, and he has earned a bachelor's degree of business management and administration degree from Monroe University in New York City. He lives with his wife of almost 20 years. Hi, how are you today, Moses?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Good. Well, thank you for being here today, and congratulations on your book being published. That's exciting.
Thank you. I'm also excited.
Yeah. And so your book is very interesting, has a very interesting concept. Can you tell us about your book, please?
Oh, my book, I could say I call it a tool. It's meant for those people who are contemplating to get married,
Okay.
for those who are married, but they want to grow in marriage, and for those who are married but are also having challenges.
Okay.
It's also ideal for marriage counselors.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, your book introduced a very fascinating idea approaching marriage with the same level of strategy and intentionality of starting a business, which is really cool. What inspired this perspective?
There are a number of factors that inspire this perspective. I've learned that some of my friends, I have some friends who have divorced,
Mm-hmm.
have struggled a lot in their marriages. Some
Mm-hmm.
family members have faced the same problems. Some of our church members also, they've divorced. Then it shows that I'm even my family too. So it shows that uh, divorce is a serious problem. Then I thought maybe I read quite a number of books before in regard to marriage. But I thought maybe I should introduce something from
Mm-hmm.
an angle. That's when I started coming up with this concept, thinking deeply about business, comparing it to marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Then later on, I said, no, I'm going to call my book The Business That Is Not Business, Marriage. And
Mm-hmm.
in that book, what happens is that there's a stitch that runs through the book, or a thread that runs through the book that
Mm-hmm.
stitches business to marital activities.
And so many people, spend years preparing to start a business, but very little time preparing for marriage. Why do you think that imbalance exists?
I think the balance exists because when people think about business, they treat themselves seriously,
Yeah.
they think deeply, they interrogate themselves a lot about business, and
Mm-hmm.
are always conscious that they're using money. So money is something that they feel, that they see, that they work hard for.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to marriage, people take it to be a relationship. They take
Mm-hmm.
it casually and think it's a relationship, you see, but it's as serious as marriage. So
Mm-hmm.
if only someone can consider it, can prepare themselves to that level, like you're saying, for marriage, as much as they can prepare themselves for business, I think
Mm-hmm.
that's different.
And so what made you realize that the language and frameworks used in business could actually strengthen marriages?
Because generally, in business, the idea is to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And because you want to succeed, that's why there are so many things the protocols that you follow. You do a lot of research. There's so much that you don't want to miss anything. So when you look at marriage also, it's a very serious thing that also need or deserve the same attention or the same seriousness. So when you compare them one to one, because when you start business, like you're saying, you do a lot of research about your business partner, about the environment in business, about what products are needed, what services are going to be provided. So, but when we choose partners, at times we just focus on passion and
Mm-hmm.
about being objective.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. And in your book, you describe marriage as a merger. What does that comparison reveal about relationships that people not might not consider normally consider?
Yeah, like you know, business, it has to do a lot with legality.
Yeah.
Like you have to follow certain procedures, certain laws, and it has to do a lot with at times people when they start business with their lifetime savings.
Hmm.
So when it comes to merger, it's when we have more than one partner. So for you to consider somebody as a partner, at least you should have a brief, background of that individual,
Yeah.
who the person is, how the person relates with money, how the person relates with a lot of issues, including being honest, being faithful and all those things, because this is the person that you're going to trust with all your savings, with all your money, with your business and your employees. But
Yeah.
when it comes to marriage, this is the person that you're going to trust with your life.
Yeah.
This is the person that you're going to eat with, sleep with, invest in so many areas, including in business itself with that person. So it has to be somebody who's worth trusting, somebody who we can, because at one point you might be sick and this person might be the guardian or the person in charge or the next of kin. And so this is the very person who's going to take off everything of yours. So this is the person that you really have to trust as a partner, as much as
Hmm.
you want to have a partner that can be trusted with your money, with your business. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Okay. And so before entering a merger in business, companies conduct due diligence. That's another business term that you mentioned in the book. What would due diligence look like in a relationship before marriage?
Due diligence, yeah, that's a good one. When
Love
it
that.
comes to marriage, you have to know the person that you're marrying
Yeah.
in terms of the background of that person. Imagine if you get married to somebody who just emerged from prison and you don't know that person. And
Hmm.
it happens that you entirely depend on him and expose yourself to that person, expose all your everything that you work for to that person, and
Hmm.
you lose all that in a short while. So the issue of trust should come first. But for you to have trust, you have to build it. So how do we build it? It's incremental. How does it happen? You have to know the person from a distance, then relate with him, then see if you align with the personality, with the temperaments, with the
Hmm.
background, with so many other things. That's how you can now make a decision. And even
Hmm.
cultural issues play a role. Because if you marry somebody with a different culture that might not align with you, you might find yourself in trouble. Same thing
Yeah.
applies to have a business partner whose culture with money is unlike yours and is unfaithful, or those are people who end up killing an individual for money or for insurance or whatever. So these are the things that you should weigh, and they're almost like they're relevant for both areas.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And so one concept I like that you introduced is the happiness index. How can couples realistically evaluate the health of their marriage?
A couple, just like in business, you'll have tools in place, procedures, that you use to follow in terms of
True.
money, how you process money, how everything. You develop a culture that is
Hmm.
good to you. So when it comes to relationship, you still have to develop a culture that is friendly to you and to your partner. Like you have
Hmm.
to open to that person so that that person can also be able to discuss with you. Imagine having a business partner that you can't even discuss money, that you can't even discuss employees. It's just like having a partner that you can't discuss financial issues at home with. At the end of the day, a lot of marriage are on the verge at the moment because of issues, financial issues, because of they can't discuss certain things, So it's very important to have a communication that
Hmm.
aligns with both of you, culture that aligns with both of you, understanding, and the focus, and even the level of your background should be relevant to the level of that person. But because when it comes to communication, you need to be at least closer to the levels should be at least closer to each other so that you can be in a position to discuss certain things.
Hmm.
And even issues like religion, if
Yeah.
if you get into business with somebody of a different religion, there are times whereby you'll clash the way you do things because maybe they have to do rituals in business and you don't want to do rituals in your business. When it comes to family and religions are different, certain people might want to do certain rituals that might not align with you. So
Hmm.
a lot of similarities and a lot of issues that you really have to understand. But like you are asking, how do you weigh out the healthiness?
Hmm.
The major things is communication and
Hmm.
constant evaluation. Just like in business, you always evaluate. So when you evaluate the metrics that you use in business, and you can develop your own metrics at home that
Hmm.
you use a partner and a wife, especially when we have kids, there are certain things that you have to agree on, that you have to constantly keep up with. In your absence, your partner should also continually continue those things because if that person doesn't continue, uh, kids will be behaving a certain way when you are there, and when you are not there, they'll behave in a different way. Same thing applies to employees. If you're a manager or or both of you own a business, and you find that you have a different culture from your partner, when you
Hmm.
are there, employees will behave in a certain way, and when you are not there, they'll behave in a certain way. So at the end of the day, what happens? There'll be a conflict.
Hmm.
Yeah. So those are some of the metrics that you can also consider.
Okay. And so, so how do you mentioned evaluate your relationship. What does that look like? And how do you do that?
There are a number of things. There are various areas in relationships. There's an issue of there are things like there's a financial part. It plays a major role. So you have to have a certain culture of how you deal with your finances and how you invest. If you are investing together, how you invest, how you handle money, how you use money. You have to have policies of how you borrow friends, how you use money outside home for relatives. Those are the things that we have to have. As much as in business, you also have those protocols that we can only take money in this way, can only use money this way, you see. So those are some of the things. But at the same time, there are many other, I've just mentioned finance. There's also the issue of intimacy. Intimacy it's something that is very important in marriage. And if you don't handle it well, or you don't have a way, an open policy about it that you can discuss, there can be a lot of issues, there can be a lot of conflicts. And at times it can start from day one, assuming your partner has gone through a lot of abuse and you're just coming and you're not open to each other, and maybe you want to do things certain way. He or she doesn't want to comply to what you do, you might find that because of that, your marriage might not even last.
Hmm.
So that's intimacy that I talked about, finance. Then there are physical issues. I mean, at times, okay, things like how do you keep out the house? How do you keep out the bedroom? Some people, some cultures, when you're married, you never do anything because you're married. Your wife has to do everything, has to cook, has to do that. And if you just come and think your wife has to do that, maybe your wife is from a culture whereby he doesn't have to do that. He knows that you can help each other. You know,
Hmm.
treat that home thing like a business. See where weight is lacking. See where there are weaknesses and help. And you are not necessarily help. You are really playing your role. That you both have to actively play a role when it
Hmm.
comes to issues at home. There are also issues of religion, like I was saying the other time that no, previously when in this very conversation, that if you belong to a different religion and your partner belongs to a different religion in business, you might have rituals that you might not agree upon or agree with. And at the same time, this thing applies to a situation whereby if you marry somebody who doesn't believe what you believe in terms of faith, you might have a lot
Hmm.
of conflict. So all those things you should keep on checking. And nowadays,
Yeah.
life is evolving in a lot of areas. I mean, I know you've seen in some relationships, people say, I've discovered myself, I want to get out of this. At times, the other one is left in the cold.
Yeah.
Without open communication, some of the things it will be difficult to handle and you'll be left traumatized.
Yeah. Yeah. What are some early red flags people often overlook in relationships that later affect their marriage?
There are quite a number. One of them is the personality issue.
Okay.
Very important to be able to see whether the personality that you're dealing with is something that you can live with.
Yeah.
And it has to, that's why it's very important for you to take time before you just get into marriage. A lot of people who marry very fast, they're trying to cover up for certain temperaments or personalities or bad behavior. Because the first few months, people are just in cloud one. They're just
Yeah.
happy. And
Very
with
happy.
somebody tells you, I'm marrying you, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. Before you know it, you should know why somebody wants to marry you. And we should discuss those issues. And you should also be in a position to discuss how are you intending to run your marriage. There are a lot of things that might come as we discuss with this person, because you might end up finding out that this is the person who doesn't want to talk about anything. Maybe he's hiding a lot of things. You should also be able to know a lot, not only from the person, but from the person, from the other people who know the person, like the
Mm,
background. Some people might have committed crimes before and the police are looking for them and they don't disclose that to you.
hmm
Or some people will just want to come to you, approach you, and they say they want to marry you, and only find that they wanted what you have, not to marry you.
Yeah, for you.
Yeah, so it can be very dangerous. So there are a lot of things, but knowing somebody, like I said, is very important. Knowing somebody's background is very important. Knowing somebody's religion is very important. Knowing the ecosystem or where the person comes from, like relatives and friends and family, is very important because you have to get third parties to confirm what you might be thinking or what or about that person or something that you might be doubtful about it because the person can be defensive.
hmm
So those are some of the things that because for example, so that those people who might think they're a no-nonsense person, when they go to the students, they become tough, they do everything. You might miss that to your personality of that individual and think maybe those people that did something wrong or they don't treat people rightly. But now, immediately marry that person, you become that victim.
hmm
The way he was treating the people at the restaurant, the people outside, he'll treat you the same way. So there are a lot of things. That's why it's important to take time. So in the
Yeah.
book, that I've broken down those things in various ways or various stages. So
hmm
I might not go into detail further than this, but basically knowing is very, very important. Knowing can be broken down further. To know somebody, you have to know where he comes from, the name and everything, but you also have to know the people that live with that person. That's knowing that person. You have
Yeah,
to know
true.
the individual himself. After I've known things that are distant from them, now you have to learn the person yourself. A lot of things that you have to identify whether you can live them with them or without them, or we can live with that person along with those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And so how can couples protect their relationship from outside pressures, while still maintaining healthy connections with family and community though?
Uh, Firstly, partners have to understand that they are unity. Once you marry somebody, you become one. So everything that happens to that person happens to you.
Yeah, true.
So whether it's finance, whether it's your business, whether it's family issues. So it's very important for you to to move or to shift things. Like if you get married now, you have to know that now your loyalty moves from your family to the person that was marrying you. So
hmm
before you can even go and talk to the family, talk to the person that who you are married to, so that if you agree, you can agree on that. If you disagree, you can disagree. And when you get to the third party, give the third party one answer. Because if the third party can discover that these people they don't discuss, he might find the weak chain and the weak part of the chain, then use that to destroy the marriage or the relationship.
hmm
Yeah, so it's important to come closer to a partner other than in intimacy only. I mean, in terms of thinking, in terms of protection, in terms of many other things. Yeah.
And what do you think is the biggest misconception people have about marriage today?
There are quite a number. At times, people assume that they know somebody when they don't know him. I mean, I've seen in news. I've seen quite a lot of people who are in prison because
Mm-hmm.
they married the wrong person, and the person was just charming, and they thought the guy is rich, the guy is good, the guy has that, only to find that the guy was a thug, and they've never known that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's by the time they discover it's too late that they're also a victim. Because, like I say, that person is going to be the next of kin. Remember, if you marry somebody who who does a lot of illegal things, you are the first point of contact. So very soon you become a customer to the police. Whenever there's something, you are the first point of contact. And
Yeah.
in times you might find yourself incarcerated because they might think you know something that you didn't know. When you tell them that you don't know this, they can't believe you. There's
Yeah. Harder too.
so that's why it's important to build a relationship based on knowledge that's going to lead to trust.
Mm-hmm.
Because without knowledge, there won't be trust. You have to
Mm-hmm.
process them trust. Yeah.
And so what is one habit or mindset shift that could immediately improve most marriages?
Uh, a lot of people they have to understand themselves first.
Okay.
A lot of people they marry without understanding themselves, and it's difficult to understand the next person.
Yeah, that's true.
If you really don't understand who you are, what you like,
Yeah.
good for you, and you go to somebody without understanding yourself, either that person will frame everything for you and start molding everything for you, and you have to comply with that, or you'll be frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
Or you have to know that me as Ima, what is going to happen? I don't like ABCD, and be clear to a partner that
Mm-hmm.
this one I don't take, I don't like it. So when he does it or when she does it, she should do it knowing that you don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Or you should be very clear with things that you believe in, things that you like, things that you can deal with, things that can work. Let that person know your strengths and your weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
And vice versa, you have to know the weaknesses and the strength of that person. By so doing, it's easy to cover for somebody. And it's
Mm-hmm.
easy when you know both your strengths. It's easy to say, no, 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 I don't think you can handle this issue with those people. I'd rather take it. And that will protect your partner because you have that strength. They can deal with it better than him or her.
Mm-hmm.
So it helps along those.
Okay.
So those are the things that's where you start. The other issue that also people don't pay attention to a lot is the finance. A lot of people, their marriages break because of financial conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
They never discuss finance from the start, and they don't understand how that the other partner relates with money. They tend to learn of it when it's too late, when they're getting bankrupt because somebody has got bad spending habits, and it becomes very difficult to control. So those are some of the things that people should also look at and see how they can contain it. But it's best that you know that beforehand, you discuss it beforehand.
Yeah. Okay. And so how have you applied what you've written into your own marriage of almost 20 years?
It took me a bit of time,
Yeah.
but we've improved in a lot of areas. I think some of the things when you are young, you might be having the knowledge, but if you don't have the experience, it doesn't
Yeah.
it doesn't help.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to financial issues, there are a lot of areas whereby we have lost money
Yeah.
without paying much attention to it. But as you grow and we see that we are losing money here and there, we start closing up the gaps. Just one of the things, it's like there was a time we got scammed. Scammers are very smart.
Mm-hmm.
At the right time, they don't give you much time, and you make a quick decision. So, like I say, how do you apply it? Nowadays, I don't have, I personally don't make an immediate decision about money.
Mm-hmm.
When somebody comes or when there's something that is needed, I take my time and go to my wife and say, oh, my love, there's this. What do you think about it? Because at times one might be excited and start saying, okay, I'm investing in this, only to find that it's going to lose money, or only to find that it's been scammed. And a lot of families, people have been scammed, thinking that they're doing something, innocently doing it, thinking it's going to benefit the family, and only to find that it doesn't.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what inspired you to write this book?
Or like I initially said, I've got friends who have divorced. I've got, I've seen a lot of people who have divorced, relatives, friends, church members,
Yeah.
and even the divorce rates in a lot of countries is very high.
Yeah.
So I just thought, as much as I've read quite a number of books in marriage, I just thought there's something that maybe we don't pay attention to. Most of the people that I've seen, they get married before understanding and knowing their partners,
Mm,
only to find that either they're having the wrong person, or they're the wrong person for that person.
hmm.
At times they never discuss a lot of issues. Now, when they start discussing those issues in marriage, it becomes uh, it's become very difficult. One of the things that I've also learned is that I've run quite a number of businesses,
Hmm.
and I've made a lot of losses out of the people that I trusted, out of the people that I went to the same church with. So that's then taught me that you can trust somebody and only that person to throw you under the bus.
Mm,
So it's one of the things that as time went on, I learned that I can extract a lot of things from my experience,
hmm.
use it for marriage, and maybe help a lot of other people about marriage. Because take, for example, in church, people in church, they might think they know each other. At times, you know somebody where that person works, you know that person from church, and maybe you know that person for quite some time. In your mind, you get clouded and think you know that person.
Hmm.
While you've never been close to that individual. You know that person from a distance, like I've said. And when that person say he wants to marry you, you get excited and say, oh, this is a man of God, I want to marry this person. And only to find when we get home, the person that we see is not the person that you got married to.
Yeah.
We see the true colors of that individual.
Yeah.
That's why it's important to sieve, as if you are sieving business partners, as if you're eliminating business partners. Because with business, there are a lot of structures that you are using. At times, you might have to go to the bank and ask for a loan. Now they'll need your background. They'll have to do a background check and the background check of that individual, and it will help you one or the other. You'll know who the person is. You might need a legal person to advise you. So just by advising, the legal person might fill up the gaps that you didn't see and say, I don't think this is the right person for you to get into business with. You might, there are so many steps that you have to take that might help you to identify red flags within that individual. So
Hmm.
that's important if you want to get married. Other than knowing the person also, you should consider go for counseling before getting married. Because a
Hmm.
lot of people, what they do, they get married first. Then when they have problems, they go for counseling. So at times it's easier to say, let's go for counseling so that you see if this is the kind of person that you can marry. Because most of the counselors, they're not personalities, they're not temperament. They can pick a lot of red flags and say, do you really think you can live with this?
Hmm.
And then with an ordinary eye, you might not pick that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And so, when did you start writing your book and how long did it take you to complete your book?
Oh, it took me, this is 2026.
Hmm.
So I started writing my book in 2022. It took me almost 3 years
Okay.
because I completed the book, and I published the book actually in last year, 2025.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was the most difficult part of your writing process?
The most difficult part of my writing process was the first few pages, and the first few chapters, because I have to come up with a like it was difficult to start with the first few chapters because with the first few chapters, those are the chapters that set the tone of your book.
Yeah, true. Hmm.
Yeah. So like in this case, if you had to pick one topic, like specifically why business is a major, I mean, why marriage is a major, is because in this case, on this very topic, everything revolves around the topic. Is the one business major is the one that sets the tone, is the one that that makes the structure,
Hmm.
the argument or the concept in the book, and everything that comes after that, all those chapters that comes after, they have to align.
True.
They, yeah, they have to align with the with business major and its ecosystem. So it was very difficult to start there.
To
But
start there.
what it was flowing now. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you have a favorite section of your book, or do you have a favorite part of your book that you've written?
Yeah, actually, I have the favorite part of the book. I found it very interesting when I wrote about the vows.
Okay.
Because a lot of people, like we've just discussed, when it's come to vows, vows are protocols, are part of the protocol of the wedding or the marriage.
Yeah.
Given that for every wedding, for every marriage, there are vows. But a lot of people, they don't, most of them, even when they get married, most of them, they don't interrogate the vows. They don't introspect the vows. They don't internalize the vows
Yeah.
because basically they just think it's part of the protocol. But
Yeah.
the truth is, when you take the vows, it's like we are signing a business contract. I can't imagine somebody gets into a business contract or any other contract that needs all your mind, all your brain, without having interrogated the contract, without
Yeah. I can't either.
having looked deep into it. Because if the moment you sign that contract, everything it will entirely depend upon the contract. So the moment you put a signature, you should know that you're agreeing with everything. That's when married people say, I do, I do. But what is it that you are doing? Because
Hmm.
that's why a lot of people will marry after 3 months they divorce. You ask yourself, did these people ever understood what they were doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing that also people make mistakes because at times they are like when I talk about the vows, that's when they declare what kind of marriage regime they take. Some of them they don't even study much about the marriage regime. They don't know the advantages. They don't know why should they choose this. They just get
Yeah.
say, okay, commit your property or out of commit your property. But later on, they realize this doesn't work for me. But they never thought about it before, but they've signed for it.
Yeah.
So I found it very funny that we, we never pay attention to those.
And what was your experience like writing this book?
My writing experience with this book, I've learned quite a lot of things. Firstly, writing a book is not easy.
Hmm.
You have to have time. You have to really do a lot of research, and it takes a lot of time. Uh, at times you're at home, and the family members don't feel your presence because
Hmm.
most of the time you are there, you are focused on the book. You are either you are reading or you're writing, or you are talking about the book, or maybe you are interviewing some people. So it takes a lot of time. So writing a book, somebody should know that it's a serious project.
Hmm.
And the other thing, when it comes to writing a book, it's expensive to write a book because if you're to take all the time that you spend on the book, it's a lot of time. And if you're to equate that time to money, you'll see how much money you might have lost because maybe you could have done something other than sitting on the chair and just focus on the book.
Hmm.
And at the same time, a lot of people they have a misconception that books make a lot of money. Books they make money, but it takes time
Yeah.
because you have to build up, you have to write the book, and it depends whether the book is of value or not. Because when you write a book, it's like when you write a book, it's like when you start a business. For you to start a business, you have to have a product, and the product has to be good.
Hmm.
Product has to solve a particular problem. So if you are selling something that people don't want, is not solving that problem, it will just stay there. and it will be useless. So when you write a book, also ask yourself, what problem are you trying to target? What problem are you trying to solve?
Yeah.
Then those are the things that you can use to say, okay, if I write this book, I think I'm going to solve the following problems. And that will also help you when you start marketing the book, because you are not marketing the book to make money. You are marketing the book to fulfill the thirst that is within you. And you want to achieve, when you see that happen, when people see that you are solving people's problem, you become happy. And along
Mhm.
with that, you might make money, or you make money. Just like a lot of business people who solve people's problems, while they're solving problems, they make money. So that's my experience about writing a book.
Okay. And have you received what's the nicest feedback or review you've received about your book?
Actually, I've received a lot of good reviews.
Good.
So far, all the reviews are there are five. I mean, they're so good. And the comments, there are 5 star actually. And the
Mm-hmm.
comments also are very encouraging and inspiring. So already I get fulfilled by what is happening. Every time I look at the reviews, I smile.
Oh, that's sweet.
But there is one review that I have here that I like to read. That is
Yes.
also inspiring. Allow me to read it.
Yes, please.
It reads thus: Avoid marriage bankruptcy and divorce. That's the title of the review. The person says, seem to be okay. The person who wrote this thing, the moment I saw this, I found it appealing to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Continue to read. It says, I've been married for 28 years and I've been in business as long, and truly appreciate the covenant focused approach of this book. This book approach uses practical, usable guidance, connecting marriage principles with real world business style expectation. It is very fascinating composition, equally insightful and relatable. Its content is useful for all age groups looking to get married. It is also good for enriching married couples. It is great for both relational and analytical minds. I've recommended it to my kids and my friends. What touches my heart with this review is that this person has been in business for 28 years, and they agree with a lot of principles that I've written. And so that means that person is an experienced business person,
Yeah.
agrees with it, and for him, he relates well with it. He has been married also, coincidental, for 28 years. And only to find that what he has read in relation to business, and what he has experienced and what he has read in relation to marriage, to him,
Mm-hmm.
they collaborate, and yeah, he relates better with them. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
to the
Yeah.
point he decided to recommend the book to the kids, to his kids.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that I, in one or the other, I've really reached where I wanted to reach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet that review feels really good, realizing that your concept you came up with is really relatable for readers and for people to relate both of them. So I'm sure that felt really good to get, nice reviews complimenting you and your concept. So what advice would you give to a writer working on their first book?
Or to somebody who's writing that Facebook,
Yeah.
I think I'll reiterate what I've just said. What the most important thing is, you should be passionate about the subject that is writing about.
Okay.
You should be trying to solve a problem that is in existence. And you should also know that it's going to cost him or her time and money.
Mm-hmm.
And it should also, because if that person is passionate, he'll be fulfilled by the
Mm-hmm.
outcomes, not necessarily money from the book, or just the outcomes. Because see, like I've just read the review, it's one of those reviews, but there are so many reviews that are really fulfilling to me. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll say, and maybe lastly to that person, I'll say he should treat writing a book like starting a business. You should
Mm-hmm.
know the reasons why is he writing that book, who needs the book, you know. and have a lot of plans about it because
Hmm.
it can grow into something else, can grow into business too. Because a lot of people that write a book, from there they become speakers, from there they can grow into so many other things. It evolves.
And so, what are your personal and professional book goals for the rest of this year?
For this year, personally, I think I really want to have enough time, compensate for the time that I've lost with my family, and go to vacations with
Yeah.
them, play with my kids, and at the same time, I like to read the book and internalize it, so that I can really have understand a lot of, I can say a lot of things about the book and break down the concept that I've come up with. So that's one of the personal, that's what I want to focus on. At the same time, professionally, I would like to say, because the book is still new,
Hmm.
focus on the marketing of the book and on how I grow the book, and maybe come with another tool that is going to help people to use the book. Let's see, like a workbook or something like that.
Okay. Yeah,
Maybe.
that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
Cool.
maybe.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Moses, for being here today. I appreciate you and taking your time to discuss your book with me. Is there anything else that you'd like to mention to our listeners before we go?
Yeah. Firstly, let me appreciate and be thankful for this interview, for the time that you took. I really
Of course.
appreciate it. I'm glad. And lastly, I just want to say this book, it's available on so many platforms, especially the online like Amazon, Barnes&
Hmm.
and Nobles, Walmart. There are so many platforms that are selling this book online. And at the same time, Boslet Books is my website. So I
Okay.
also sell the book. And at the same time, I'll say I have a Instagram. I
Okay.
also share motivations and a lot of concepts continually. So I'm inviting them to get to my Instagram. It's called Olehile. That's the first name that is written on the book. Insta. So Insta for Instagram is just one Olehile Instagram. Then the other thing will be I also have a Facebook page that's
Okay.
growing, that I'm interacting with a lot of people. And a lot of people are also giving me a lot of love. That fulfills me along with the book. So I'll encourage them to get to my Facebook. My Facebook page is first name, which is Olehile, then the last name, which is Setilo. So
Okay.
it's Olehile Setilo, just like as the book is here, just remove Moses and use the first name and the last name.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here today. And thank you, listeners, for sticking around and listening to this interview. Yeah, like Moses said, his book is available in many different platforms. You can go ahead and purchase that book if you're interested. Leave him a review, and I will see you all in my next interview.